We'll return after these messages.
Okay, everybody, come outside. Everybody ready for a wild, wet ride? Slip, slip and slide. You can put it on your lawn. Turn the water on, then you run, 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 and you're sliding on your top. Slip, slip and slide. Slip, slip and slide. It's a lot of fun to play when the spray goes all the way. Slip, slip and slide.
Slip and Slide comes with plastic slide and fasteners from Whammo.
Here's Ronald McDonald in Hamburgers for Ronald.
Grimace, let's go to... Stay. Hamburgers for Ronald. I think this is trying to tell me something. McDonald's hamburgers. I should have known.
It's a good time for the great taste.
Thank you.
Of McDonald's.
We now return to Turbo Team.
Excuse me.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, I bet you can't say the Floppy Flat fruit snacks from Sunkist. The Floppy Flat What? Sunkist fruit rolls are made with real fruit, and they're real fun to eat. Flip-flop fruit snacks from Sunkist. But if you ask for fruit rolls, you may not get Sunkist, so you can just say the Frosty Fruit Frats of Sunkist. Sunkist fruit rolls. I, Skeletor, have another warrior named Whiplash.
Battle Armor, He-Man, and Skeletor, Whiplash, and Buzz-Off each sold separately.
And I, He-Man, have a powerful winged warrior named Buzz-Off. So it's the super stinger Buzz-Off against the vicious tail of Whiplash. Ha-ha! Now, may the mightiest warrior win.
Buzz-Off and Whiplash figures from the Masters of the Universe collection. Other action figures also sold separately. From Mattel.
Hey, kid, have a carrot.
A carrot?
Carrot sticks are, yes, indeed. They are delicious. If you must eat in between meals, why not eat nutritious dishes? Like fill a bowl with ice cubes and add raw cauliflower. Stuff celery with cheese and let it chill for half an hour. Add carrot sticks and olives and any other knickknacks. Then keep this by the TV set for when you want those quick snacks. Well,
But while I'm waiting, could you make me a banana?
okay, you're a banana.
We now continue with Turbo Team.
We'll return after these messages.
Bernie, they left without breakfast again.
What are you serving?
Beans, what else?
How about fruit flavors? Come follow my nose.
Got a nose big as ticks.
It's always nose.
Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal.
With natural orange, lemon, and cherry flavors and a full day supply of vitamin C, part of this complete breakfast. Now you can enjoy a Scrumptious Dairy Queen Sundae free. 5-ounce size in your favorite yummy flavor. The free coupons on specially marked packages of Fruit Loops.
Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's having a fantastic week so far. Very interesting week in the Letitia Stout trial, in the process of getting justice for that beautiful boy that we just saw there. I have a special guest with me, as promised. I'm trying to do something every Thursday since there's no court on Thursday, and still keep this about Gannon as much as possible. And we'll talk about other stuff too, just separately. Maybe we'll get into that stuff later on today, because I know Chasing's got some opinions on some other stuff that's been going on. But for now, we're going to be keeping the focus on Gannon and justice for him. But without any further ado, I have Tracy Anne, as she is referred to now, as a special guest. What's up? You're muted.
I did mute myself. I was watching your commercials. They're so good. I love them.
Oh, that's a new set. I never really know. Like, I never preview them. And so I was blown away by like Turbo Teen, because I remember
yeah.
turned into a car.
I know. I'm like,
Probably.
I'm like, I'm old. I remember most of these.
I remember that vividly, but yet I completely forgot about it. And I was like, wow, the kid who turns into a car. And for some reason, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world when I was I was actually about Gannon's age when that came out. Now that I think about it, kind of crazy. How are you?
I am good. It has been a long few days. It feels like it's been 2 weeks this week with Gannon's trial. This has been a rough week.
It has. I think for me, obviously the toughest thing was the autopsy photos, which I caught like as quick as I could, and tried to make sure that I wasn't showing it, but even just the short glimpse that I even looked at was like, I can't. It's definitely not.
It's been awful listening to Al, having to hear him reason with a crazy person. And maybe he was believing her at first and thinking, okay, she's going to lead me somewhere. But by the end, it just feels like this is such manipulation that she's putting him through on top of everything else. It's horrible.
I think that's what's really the most frustrating thing is Al he's just a dad at that moment, at that period of time 3 years ago when all this is taking place, who he's still having some sort of, he knows how manipulative she is. Knows deep down that she did something to him, and you could tell that there's some part of him that wants to be proven wrong for the fact that Letitia's his wife. He loves his wife. He wouldn't have married her if he didn't, but mostly because he just wants his little boy to be okay. He's a little part of him who has not gotten any confirmation necessarily that his little boy's gone, and that he's holding out hope that his wife is innocent, like she's saying she is, and yet he knows she's not, and so he's trusting the FBI, and he's trusting El Paso County sheriffs to all know exactly what they're doing. But you could tell he doesn't want to believe it.
You can feel it, that he's just hoping, okay, she can't, if I try to put myself in his head, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe he's thinking if he just listens to her and debunks some of these stories, that she'll finally tell him the truth, even if it's horrible. But she won't even do that. She won't even give him that. It's like a game to her every single phone call.
Right.
And it's about her. It's not about anybody else.
Always. She doesn't even try to keep it about Gannon. She doesn't even try to keep the facade that she's caring about Gannon, which is crazy.
Not at all.
She truly believes in her mind that she is the most important aspect of the entire situation.
The whole thing. It's amazing to me to listen
right,
to
her. Right. Like, because you're trying to break it down and trying to put yourself in her mind frame, and it's impossible unless you're that evil of a person.
Yeah.
I after yesterday, especially just hearing the rest of those phone calls, I think there's another phone call that we still have to go through. But hearing that, she, like I said, it's almost as if she wants it. She believes it's all about her, but believes it should be about her. So that malice that it took to actually kill him, somewhere in her mind, she actually feels somehow justified for her actions. She feels somehow entitled to having done what she did, and afraid, just simply afraid of the consequences, you know.
She almost even tried to throw Al under the bus, saying, "Oh, so you went in the room too, and the crime seems contaminated now." And I'm thinking, what angle is she trying to take right now? Anything that she can grab onto to kind of change the narrative and bring things back to, but what about everything I've had to deal with, Al? Look at what I'm dealing with here. It's amazing. I've never heard anybody like her. We took a poll yesterday. Somebody had come in my chat and asked, who's worse, Chris Watts or Leticia? And I said, what Chris did was so shocking and emotional, but it had the thought before it for him to do it. He made a plan. But Leticia, she just took out this childish rage. And I think she was evil all along. I think as soon as Al was gone, she was just mean to Gannon. I think because he had the ADHD and some issues with his bowels, that she just treated him terribly.
That's what I think too. I think that she just lacked the maturity to deal with these, and I don't want to call them shortcomings of Gannon's.
Right.
We're talking about a kid who was born 1 pound and 6 ounces.
Imagine 1 pound.
And Al and Landon were told that he was not going to survive and that he would be basically an invalid for the rest of his life. And none of that happened. And if the worst of it is that he pooped his pants once in a while, that's a blessing, you know. It's a blessing. And that she just didn't have the maturity to handle that. And I think that that's what it was, is that she felt like, oh my God, I have to clean up after this kid. And I'm not getting enough appreciation for it. Exactly. And why am I doing this and his mom's not doing it?
Yeah. Because if you look at her searches, the sugar baby profile and looking for, these men who are like this or that, it just tells you everything you need to know about her. She's selfish, and she definitely didn't care about Gannon. The lies, though, just the lies on top of lies. So was she fooling Al the whole time and pretending kind of to get along with Gannon? Because yesterday she was saying, I was just trying to be the cool mom and give him the sleepover and be the cool mom and take him to this castle. And I'm thinking, what? Just be a mature lady and take care of this baby, and don't be a monster. That's all you had to do.
And know the boundaries, because even there's boundaries, even if, because I before my son was born, I had a stepdaughter but she was part of my life before my son came into the picture. Same mom. And I remember I tried to be more of a dad than I had earned. And then when my son was born, I was like, whoa, like that natural fraternal instinct kicked in. And then I was like, wow, this is not,
Not the same.
right. So I backed off a little, and then I kind of let her dictate the terms of our relationship.
Yeah.
And then later on, she, asked me if I thought it was okay if she called me dad. And I was like, if you feel, that's your choice. That's not for me to, but she had the absolute opposite of that mentality.
Mhm.
She considered herself, she would say our kid when she's talking to Al, and make these really weird passive aggressive statements that implied that Landon was not his mother.
Right.
And it just really, really disgusting. And a part of me wants to give her the benefit of the doubt at first for just a split second that she loved Al so much that maybe she just didn't connect with his kids. That happens sometimes. I understand that. But she stole like $8,000 to $9,000 from him and lied and manipulated him the same way that she's manipulating him with the Gannon situation. And right there, that tells you this woman doesn't care about anybody. She's 150% a succubus, self-serving monster.
That's a perfect word, succubus, for her. I mean, if you look into her history and the things that she was in trouble for, communicating threats, and I think I read somewhere that it was like a bomb threat or something, and harassment and, whatever, but then getting fired from her jobs, but acting like she just didn't like that job anymore. And then filing false reports against his superior so that she could get out of Alaska because she didn't like that anymore. And then hearing Harley talk, yeah, we moved because my mom didn't like it. We moved because my mom didn't like it. It seemed like if the whole family wasn't focused on what TCL liked, then there was going to be hell to pay. And if she was uncomfortable in any way, we were going to have a problem. I mean,
and
Harley's like, I would get smacked in my mouth if I said anything, backhanded.
What? Right. Which causes, I've known people like this. I'm not going to say specifically, but I've known people in my life like this, where people, where they basically, their presence threatens confrontation and then what that does is creates a general fear once they walk into a room. Not necessarily a fear of physical violence the way Harley described it, but just a fear of any type of confrontation, the fear that she's going to raise her voice the way she does in the phone calls and make the whole vibe of their, environment.
Their day ruined, just ruined.
Right. So, and then people like this, they consciously know this and take advantage of it. They enjoy the power, that kind of power that they have over people.
Yeah.
And how many people like throughout our lives do we know like this who have never killed a child, and probably never will, yet ironically, that's the same energy that killed Gannon, that drove her to kill Kin, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it was something that she just didn't want to deal with that day, whether it was that he did have an accident or maybe he talked back after the accident. I don't think it had anything to do with the candle or the floor.
Nope.
I think she just raged out and decided.
And I'm listening to the trial like carefully for the connection of the candle. Because I keep trying to find motive. You know what I mean? Like actual motive. But Emily Biz asked, do you think his stomach issues were just due to his anxiety and fear of her and how she treated and abused him? It just wasn't known by anyone else. I'll let you take that first.
Yeah, my son has stomach issues. So my son and Gannon are so similar. They're on the Nintendo Switch. It's what these kids do at his age. You know, they stay on it and they forget to poop. So then they're not realizing they've got these stomach issues. You know, they just hold it and wait. And by the time it's, you know, that they have to deal with it, there is a huge level of anxiety. I can tell you my son and I are so close, and being in the bathroom and having to deal with it with him and that anxiety that they get, it's so overwhelming for both me and him. I cannot imagine how Leticia dealt with him and what she put that kid through, because they were giving him Miralax. We never even went that far with my son. We've done other things, but I wanted to know if it was true too. So I'm listening closely to what Harley and Al were saying. And they're saying, yeah, he was on ADHD medication. So that can cause constipation too. So now he's got to take this medicine, and then they give him the weekend off. So you're thinking his body will regulate itself, but it doesn't in 2 days. So you give him the Miralax, and now he's in pain, and he's got to deal with all of this and going to school and her attitude. So I think she induced fear and anxiety on him for those issues that he had. He was also afraid because they're messing with his medication. You don't just stop giving him the medication over the weekend. I think she induced a ton of fear and anxiety, because I can tell you when my son is dealing with it, I'm like, buddy, I promise it's going to be okay. But I'm thinking, just go, just sit and go. It's fine, dude. Go. And I don't even yell at my son. So I can imagine what her attitude was like having to deal with that, because you think it's as simple as saying, sit down and go.
Right.
But they're afraid. And the blood and, you know, all of the things that they were discussing that goes along with it. It's a lot for a little kid to handle. And I'm sure she didn't have the compassion to deal with it.
And it takes a lot of compassion, and it takes a lot of patience. Not to get too personal. I mean, I'm still going to, but not to get even deeper personal. But as a kid, and I have never told anybody this, but these issues is exactly why I am so personally invested in this case, because I relate to Gannon. I had these issues when I was his age, and I had a lot of problems. I ADHD, the stress from the ADHD and not being able to function in school, and it's a big vicious cycle, you know, because I had it was a physical issue, and there was also a psychological issue mixed in with it. And it's really funny because and it causes trauma, like the humiliation that you feel from being the smelly kid, you know. It's that in itself is traumatizing, because it's like you said, it's a simple thing, like just just sit down. Like every adult in my life, every like my older brother, you know, who's like the opposite of me, who just can handle anything and just is just amazing. And I wouldn't listen to him, and I was stubborn, and I was angry at the world, and blah blah blah, you know. And then, you know, to the point, and this is the thing, is eventually you get over it. Somehow you learn to manage it. Your body, you learn how your body works. You learn how, you know,
but you just don't know at that age. You're just a kid.
You don't know. And you also don't know how to cope with the humiliation and embarrassment that comes with it. So like I said, it's a big vicious cycle. One thing feeds the other and makes it worse and worse and worse, and grows bigger and bigger. And it's a very difficult thing to deal with. And if you asked me when I was a kid, like, why, don't you? And I would honestly just be like, I don't know.
Right.
You know, I didn't
You don't
know.
know. Yeah.
I
My
couldn't
son was
explain. I
crying.
couldn't give excuses. I couldn't. I
No.
didn't know.
My son was sobbing, and he said, this was a couple days ago. He said, I just want my life to go back to normal before this happened. I said, Bud, your life is normal. And he said, it's not. And he's so upset about it. He's so upset because he can't solve it, right? So he doesn't know what to do about that. And he can't answer us. His older sister's 17, and she's like, dude, just sit down. You're good. It's fine. And he gets so upset. He's like, you don't understand. It's not fine. And I can imagine Gannon dealing with that.
And he'll grow out of it. He'll manage. He'll figure it out. Because now it's funny. Because like now, and I was actually joking about this. I just didn't elaborate why. But now the idea of even the chance of smelling like that is the scariest thing in the world for me. I can't. So like I am, when it comes to my body and hygiene, I am so, for lack of a better term, anal about it. I am so adamant and obsessive about, and it's out of sheer fear. It's a deep-rooted fear that I'll never get over, because the humiliation of kids going, oh, you know, and you know, and then when you have adults who do it, like my 5th grade teacher who actually joined in on it.
No.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. And I remember I refused to go to school. It got to a point where I just refused. I like, you can't make me. You can't make me. You could physically put me in the car, make me go to school, and then I'll just leave.
Yeah.
You know, and this
I'm
was
so
me
overprotective that I just
10
keep him
years
home.
old.
He's so smart. I mean, his scores, you know, in North Carolina, his scores are here for testing, and the whole state is here. And I'm like, my son's good. He's staying home because he has a stomach ache, because I'm too protective. It happened one time, and he came off the bus and he comes home, and I'm in the kitchen and I can smell him. And I'm like, dude, are you good? He's like,
Yeah.
it's a really bad day today. And then he tells me what happened. And kid said, I smelled, Mom. Do I smell? I'm like, no, you don't smell. Come on. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to be that kid.
I didn't have that. I mean, nobody was going to kill me over it, you know, but I would hide it. You know, where's all your underwear? What happened to all your underwear?
Yeah.
Because I would throw it away. You know, I would just, I would hide, because I knew I was going to get some sort of, you know, either ridicule or reprimand for it.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just simply because it's like, why can't you do the most simplest thing?
Why can't you listen? Why aren't you listening, Will? Just go in there and go. And it's
there's
like,
that.
you can't.
But see, I also was not a good student. You know, I was angry. So I was a difficult kid to deal with as it was. So that, on top of everything else, made me almost an unbearable kid to even have present, you know? And then it just led to
well, her saying that
spiral of debauchery in my teens and in my young adult years, to where, you know, it gets to depression, and I was already struggling with depression as a kid. I was always, as long as I can remember, I was struggling with depression. And so that's what really infuriates me about Gannon's situation and Letitia is Gannon was not a difficult kid. He was, according to his mom, according to Al, according to his teachers, according to everybody that knew Gannon, he was just a bright, shining star of a kid who made everybody's day better.
Happy.
Yeah. Thank you, Parakeet. And if I just highlight your super chats, I and don't cover it's because we're in a depth of a conversation here, so it's no disrespect to you guys, but thank you, I appreciate it.
Her taking him on that hike after giving him Miralax Saturday made me want to fly there and just kick her right in the face, just kick her in the face at this point, because she knew you can't do that. Once you give the baby that, you are all in the house. We're staying in the house and we're going to figure it out and let them relax. You don't take them on a hike, because then, she's like, oh, he pooped his pants, we've got to leave. So how did you embarrass him, Leticia? What did you say to him for doing that? Because that if she wanted to go on that hike and they had Lena, she didn't deal with that well, having to bring him home in the car smelling like that. That she didn't deal with it well because she's a selfish animal.
Agreed. And I personally believe that the hike was, I think she planned on doing something on that hike. And I think that she realized once she was on that hike that she had Lena, possibly other witnesses, and it wasn't a good time. And she couldn't, she just couldn't pull off what she had wanted to pull off.
I agree.
We're talking about somebody who, because everybody's scrambling to try to understand what her motive was, right? And they're scrambling and saying, well, what was her plan? And since we can't figure out what her plan was, we can't necessarily say that she had a plan. See, I disagree. I personally believe that she is so all over the place that she planned just really poorly. She planned this murder the way that she plans her lies. They're all over the place.
They just are. Yeah.
And And so I just don't see why that's difficult for people to speculate that. Yeah. Emily Biz, thank you. Thank you both for opening up and sharing your stories. Will, I really appreciate your honesty and openness on what you went through as a kid. I understand childhood trauma as well, and I am dealing with it. Thank you. I don't really, like I said, it's not really something I talk about, but it's just one thing along with a bunch of other things as a kid. And I don't want to make this about me. Just saying that I can place myself in Gannon's shoes.
Which is why, people may wonder, well, the glare is not covering this case or that case, but he's really attached to Gannon's case. So you telling us that means a lot, that it makes sense that you dealt with a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, I want to see this woman hang. There's no, there's nothing but malice in her heart. I'm not seeing any, and I'm trying to find the empathy for her.
It's hard.
And I can't, because here I am telling you about my childhood trauma that I've dealt with, and I haven't even gone into it really, just as to where it pertains to Gannon, and that's it. So the way that I see it is, there's no excuse. Her sitting there and saying that I was abused, blah, 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 blah. And then I don't want to hear that, because the things that I went through, I'm up here advocating for people like Gannon. Right. You can do the same thing. And here you are in a position to where you were educating children, and then you chose to go in the most darkest possible, most evil direction you could possibly go to. So I cannot find the empathy for her. I'm trying. I'm still trying throughout this trial. I'm trying to, and I can't.
Yeah. I mean, if it was like an accident, but when there are 18 wounds and a gunshot, and he was probably hit with the wood from the garage, and he was put in a suitcase, it's like, no, I can't find it in my heart to really think about you and think, God, what must have happened? What stress was she dealing with? Was it a horrible accident? No, there were so many wounds that it wasn't.
No, and it's not a question of a loss of control, and no, you're. It's up to you as an adult and as a responsible adult to have control of those emotions to some degree, even if it means seeing a therapist and getting the right medication if you need to, whatever it takes. You're the adult and you have a responsibility, especially if you are taking care of children. You are responsible you are the sole person responsible for making sure that these things don't affect the loved ones in your environment, period.
Absolutely. Yep. And I don't even know that she needed whatever she's talking about, listening to her daughter. It seems like Leticia was just a controlling, strict, overbearing mother. She wasn't super depressed all the time. She wasn't, crying constantly. She said in the beginning she can remember them arguing and crying and all of that, but she's getting everything she wants. She's getting everything. I don't want to live here. We're going to move and buy this house. I don't want to do this. We're going to do this. She was in control of everything.
Right.
What was she so damn unhappy about? Al's deployed and she's searching for sugar daddies. What are you doing?
And what was the $8,000 or $9,000 for?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I suspect there's drugs involved. Personally, because again, me trying to give her the benefit of the doubt in the sense that, it's not really giving her the benefit of the doubt in the sense that she's still responsible for her own bad habits.
Sure.
But somehow an explanation for this erratic behavior. Because I'm sure that her defense, drug addiction is not a defense for anything. It just never is.
Her attorneys don't look like they are interested or engaged. We were talking about Casey Anthony and her talking about Leticia talking about Jose Baez. That was great. But I was thinking, okay, Jose commanded that entire place. He won that case because he was engaged constantly. He ran that whole place. That's the only person you remember other than Casey herself. But you remember him because he took command of that place. Her lawyers are like this.
Right. Right. Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time. And she's got her head on the desk and nobody's like, what are you doing? Come on, what are you doing?
Well, they know she's guilty. They know she's full of shit, but they're not even doing anything to convince the jury that they don't.
Right.
They're not.
But everybody knew Casey was too. Everybody knew Casey was.
Sure, but the jury didn't. Right?
Right.
But then you have what I find funny though is when she mentioned Jose Baez in that phone call, and I'm thinking if I'm on the jury, she's guilty. Because Jose Baez is only known for the Casey Anthony case, really. Really. He's done other things, but he's known really for defending Casey Anthony, and Casey Anthony is known as the woman who got away with killing her daughter.
Yeah.
That's what she's known for. Sure. The guy who got a guilty person off of murder. So if I'm on the jury, that's how I'm looking at that. You know what I mean? If I'm on the jury, I'm like, why would she want Jose Baez of all people?
Right. And the way she described him, he handled a lot of, did she say famous or big people? He's handled a lot of, what was the word that she used as soon as she used it? I'm like, this is really all about her. So she's thinking she's going to have Jose Baez as an attorney. What are you thinking about? And Al's comebacks were great, and he must have just been suffering inside. But, he's like, yeah, go call Baez your fancy attorney or whatever. And I'm just thinking, oh, Al, how are you doing this, friend? How are you doing this? He's something. I don't know how he did it.
I don't know either. I am blown away by Al's, because you could tell. The last FBI agent to take the stand was saying, yes, I was basically the one in charge of for lack of a better term, coaching Al and saying, okay, well, you're you don't want to accuse her outright because you want to keep her talking. The purpose of not accusing her was to keep her talking. But he did accuse her and she kept talking anyway. So no fail there.
She just wants to hear herself. That's it.
Right.
And the screaming, I'm sure, is on purpose because we're both on good phones and we're having a conversation. But if I'm like this and she's doing it on purpose because he keeps saying, I can't hear you. Can you stop? I can't hear you. She is the most conniving woman that I've seen ever.
Totally. Yeah,
without a doubt. She knew that they were recording her. She knew somebody was doing something.
She knew. So once she realized that, she crossed over to that reality. She was no longer talking to Al. She, in her mind, was talking to the very jury that's listening to her right now. 100%. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and the jury knows this. The jury's not stupid.
Yeah.
There's a very careful process in jury selection. Sure.
Yeah. She really is. She's bizarre. Right. You know, to go from Eduardo to Quincy. Then Quincy's in Mexico, which was even funnier than the man laying on the ground, and the guy is down there in the room, and then they were both anally hard. And I'm thinking, how do you think anybody's going to believe this? What are you talking about right now? And to put Al through that, to really just sit for a sec, we're watching it and we're like, this broad. But to put the dad through that, to say that Gannon went through all these different things, and some nut might have him. And that she couldn't say anything because he might hurt her. Well, how is he going to hurt you if he doesn't know where you are and you don't know where he is? How is he going to come back and hurt you? Her lies are so bizarre. But to feed those lies to the father, it's like, you motherfucker. She's worse.
And you gave the name, exactly. And you gave the name of these people that you're accusing, and you're afraid they're going to come back and hurt you. But the only people that are truly qualified and capable of protecting you from them are the ones that you are adamant about lying to and avoiding.
Yeah.
So what does that say about your innocence?
Yeah.
You know, it says absolutely nothing. It says nothing but guilt is what it does.
She's like a rattlesnake. She's just and she couldn't seem less interested in any of it. Even the autopsy photos, she's like.
So you were talking about the attorneys, her defense attorneys, being not engaged at all and not really seeming to care. And the thing is I understand that, you know, because I see people and they're like, I could never be a defense attorney because I'd have to defend somebody like her at some point. No way, I could never do that. Sure, it takes a certain amount of it takes a certain something that I don't have either. But you have to consider, as far as I'm not trying to defend anybody because I don't know those guys, but consider all the facts of this trial. How long has it taken us to get here? She was trying to, she has manipulated, stalling this trial from taking place for so long.
My daughter's going to work. She doesn't want to go to her stupid ass job. Hey, you're almost 18 in a month, so you got to go to the stupid ass job, friend.
Yeah, because you can't live here forever.
I think free, sis. I don't want to go to this job. Do I have permission to quit? Do you have another job?
Right.
No. Then you don't have permission.
Think of this as practice.
Yeah.
Because
it gets a lot more fun soon. You'll see.
Yeah. One day you're not going to have the luxury of asking me if you need to go or not. You know, one day you're just gonna have to go, whether you like
whether
it or
you
not.
want to or not.
Right.
Too bad, so sad. They do try. She's like, Mom, I'm exhausted. From what? From
right.
Get out of here. Go to work.
Yeah.
Oh.
As far as I mean, Letitia would do everything she could to stall the proceedings of this trial. She did everything she could to manipulate, you know, saying that she wanted to represent herself and then saying she doesn't have enough time to study the law and look into her case, blah, 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 blah. Always something.
Letters were great to the judge. Did you read all of those?
I read one of them, I think. I only saw one.
They are so ridiculous. They're so ridiculous. How she's being treated.
Right.
What? What do you think jail's like, miss?
Right. You're in jail.
Yeah, she's just like, she cannot believe, and she got threats in her peanut butter, and people are rude to her, and somebody pulled her hair, and her ankles hurt. And I'm like, Gannon's dead.
Right.
And life's tough. Sorry.
Right.
Jail's not fun. It isn't.
Even though it has to be proven in a court of law that you're responsible, you're responsible. You know what I mean? Like, we know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just the original affidavit, which is not even the official affidavit being used.
Right.
That's the one that was released to the public. The judge was like, yeah, just release that. Who cares? It's not valid anymore anyway. But it still contains the evidence that they had the probable cause to arrest her, which to me is more than compelling of her guilt. It's more than compelling. Speaking of her guilt.
I always feel innocent until guilty. You know, I respect the process, and, you know, I try to engage with empathy and say, all right, you know, we don't know. In this case, I'm like, look, ma'am, if they find you innocent, the YouTubers are coming. We're going to be like JLR in this mother's like, we're coming. You're going somewhere.
Right.
You're going somewhere.
Yeah, you're
I mean, who else could have done it? Come on. She did it, and I despise that lady. I can't with her.
If I can help it, I mean, if she's not going to be found innocent, but
No way.
if I can help it, if that were to happen, she's not going to be able to walk into any place to get a cup of coffee without being sneered at. Period. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that happens.
Absolutely.
But as far as her attorneys go, we have to also remember that she didn't even want attorneys. She wanted to represent herself. She thought that oh God, Daryl Brooks times 10. Oh, it would have been terrible. But her attorneys, in my opinion, don't want to be there any more than she does. And rightfully so, because can you imagine having to work with her behind the scenes of the trial, having to prepare for the trial, dealing with her and her saying, I didn't do this, when they're lawyers and they're like, yeah, you fucking did. You know what I mean? Like, we're your attorneys. Stop, you know?
And you have to just play insane. Okay. All right. That's the plan, Leticia. You're crazy, right?
Right. And you know that she's there. She's going, do your job, defend me, do your job, defend me. You guys don't know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. So that's my theory as to why they're like this the whole fucking time. And
but I'm wondering,
they're doing the bare minimum.
But can she use ineffective counsel later if they are they don't even object to anything? Nothing. They don't even speak.
But they are objecting, not a lot, but I think that they are objecting to the bare minimum so that she can't claim ineffective counsel.
Yeah, that's
because that could cost them their practicing license, you know. So they don't want that, but they know she's guilty, and they're probably, like I said, I can only imagine having to work closely with her in this situation, and those people are probably, you know, here, and they're not very smart. That they can't even, and I can't tell. I'm trying to figure out if they're being, if this the lead defense attorney, whose name ironically I'm forgetting to my
I
next
don't
point.
know either of their
I
names.
can't. I'm forgetting it, but he can't even remember his own client's name and how to pronounce it. Still, we're 3 weeks done.
I know.
You know, so and he can't even pronounce his own client's name. And I'm speculating on whether or not it's because he's stupid and ineffective, or he's being passive aggressive in his own mind. That's his own way of coping. Like, I hate this woman and I hate having to fucking be here. So I refuse to even give her any respect.
Yeah.
You know, but he's also, but also what it looks like is that they don't give a shit about the victim because it's his last name.
Yeah.
So
and that's all I can think of. Yeah. Is you can't even say her name properly. Right. You're not even saying her name. Do you just really hate this assignment? Which I'm sure you do. Having to represent her, knowing that she's guilty, it's got to be devastating. You've got to sit in that courtroom and see autopsy pictures of a little boy. That's got to be absolutely the most brutal job.
Sure.
But you are there. You do have a reputation. You are attorneys. You do have a firm and people to report to. Are you going to...
Do they have a firm, though? Because they're court-appointed attorneys. Do they have a firm?
I think one of them is with a firm.
Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes the court-appointed attorneys, I'm not saying they don't, because sometimes court-appointed attorneys are people with a firm, and then the court is like,
you got this one.
You got this one? Yeah. So, but
you're the short straw this week.
I'm wondering if it's also a tactic of them just maintaining their own moral, good graces with God, and fucking up her name and knowing that the jury is going to look at them like, dude, like the counsel's just incompetent. They suck,
I wonder what they'll come
up with. It's not that they're not doing their job. They're just idiots. So maybe they're willing to make themselves look stupid. But again, like the way you put it, that's the only reason I would think that they wouldn't do that is because they have to think of their reputations as well.
True.
But how can somebody who went to law school not even remember their own client's name throughout the course of a trial? It makes no sense.
Every time they say her name, they have to correct themselves. And sometimes they don't even bother correcting themselves.
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh. But now, soon, we're going to have the defense. And I know that they hired the same lady who's dealt with, other serial killers. She's not a serial killer, but she's dealt with, was it Bundy, I think. So, she's a very older lady. She talks about the multiple personality disorders. So that's her expertise, really. And that there's no evil. Like, that's her basis. It's that this multiple personality disorder happens and, it causes all of these things. I can't wait to see them try this because Leticia's been in very stressful situations. Al's never seen this happen to her. Her coworkers haven't seen this happen. There's no history of doctors who've seen it happen that we know of. And Harley, who's been with her her whole life, has also never seen it happen. So where did the multiple personality disorder or whatever it is that they're trying to claim when they ask all those names, little Susie and Mary and Maria, nobody's ever heard of them. So how are you going to claim that as a defense? Nobody's heard of these people.
Not
ever.
One person that,
Nothing.
Yeah. And I loved how they had the lieutenant who took Leticia's phone during the interview on the 29th of January 2020. This attorney gets up there because this is covering like bullshit Betty and JLR and these people. Like here I am, and I'm this attorney gets up there and it sounds like Betty's defending Leticia and cross-examining this guy and goes, well, what about these things that you could have arrested her on? Why didn't you arrest her then?
Yeah.
Why didn't you arrest her for lying to the police? This is, and dude's like, well, here's the thing is we only suspected that she killed Gannon.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have any evidence that she killed Gannon. We didn't even know Gannon was dead yet.
Right.
You know, we just
And that's
suspected
how it
something
works.
happened to him and she was responsible. We're not going to just slap handcuffs on somebody because we can. You know, that's not how the law works. I mean, and he doesn't say that, but that's, you know, the lieutenant is basically like, he's like, well, first of all, there's this, you know, this charge, which is a misdemeanor. You know, we wouldn't have even arrested her for that. Like actually arrested her. She would have had like a promise to appear in court or something. And then there was this other thing that you're talking about, which is a felony. And, you know, you could have asked for a higher bond and okay, but then what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
you could have blown your case. She could have taken off.
Totally.
You know, known how close you were. No way. You don't do that.
We're building a case. You know, so I get that the defense attorney, you know, but the lieutenant straight up told him, like, not even beating around the bush. He was like, you're reaching.
Yes.
You're reaching. That's not what we do.
Yeah, just like Hadley. You know, what does she call him? No arrest Hadley.
No charge Hadley, yeah.
No charge Hadley.
Idiot.
Yeah. You can't. They named her. They said she's the one we're looking at. Leilani's the one. But you can't, just because they said that doesn't mean that you're allowed to go arrest them based on your thought. There has to be evidence along with this thought, and you've got to put it all together. You know, you want the DA or whoever to pick it up and say, yes, we've got a good case here. I don't understand. For a lot of people who won't look into that or don't know about that BHB probably talks to in her audience, they're all agreeing with her. And it's like, go look at it. Go just, none of it works this way. You just can't do any of this stuff. You get so tired of even saying it. You're like, oh,
I mean,
like that.
And they don't teach law at DeVry University. I promise you that. they don't. I'm telling you, because I saw the commercials for DeVry University when I didn't have a job living in Florida. I saw the commercials in between, you know, Judge Mathis and Maury, right?
There you go.
So you don't have
No.
So yeah, you're a little degree, right?
No. And Sarah Dietz was just doing a video on Sarah, and you know, she, God for, you know, so sad she was found deceased. But that's another example. It's a great example of what's going on in the true crime. You know,
we will get into that. I want to still talk about Gannon, but like I said before, I brought you on. I'm sure you have opinions on this stuff, and since I have you here, I'm going to take advantage if you're cool with it. But that's if you got time. But for now, I definitely want to stick to the trial, because I know there's more stuff that you noticed about that trial. The phone calls where, like I said, she was yelling, and you were saying she was yelling. We both agree that she already saw herself as being villainized in this whole thing.
Absolutely.
Because everything was me. Why aren't you standing by your wife? Blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was really interesting because I think that she's somebody who skated by and used sex as a way to manipulate people, probably seduced Al at some point. And then, because I get the feeling from Al, again, I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I feel like Al just didn't realize until it was too late and he was already married, and probably figured, you know what, I'm married to this woman and I'm just going to try to make the best of it.
She was Landon's very close friend. And they all
I didn't know that.
They all played softball together. And Al had an affair with Leticia behind Landon's back.
Oh man.
And that's how all of that went down. Yeah. So that was you know, if you're trying to get your friend's man, you know, you're giving him the representative of yourself, right?
And
You're sending the rep out to meet him. And I'm sure the rep was everything Landon wasn't doing at the time, because, you know, when you're girlfriends, you tell all the business of what you do and don't do and what your man's like.
And she used the information to seduce Al. Gross.
Because she's gross. But he went for it. You know, who knew if Al and Landon might have been on the verge of breakup and having some issues, but you still, as her friend, you don't do any shit like that. That's not what you do. It just shows your character. So she does that and they end up together. And I think you're right. It was too late. I think she is really good at putting on an act, just like Dr. Stout when she's emailing to get that job.
Right.
You're not a doctor.
And she probably agreed. Exactly. And I'm thinking that she probably sorry, I got distracted by chat. But I'm thinking that she because I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think that you're trashing Al for cheating on Landon. That's not the issue. People are unhappy for whatever reason and things happen. And, nobody's saying that it's okay for Al to, that it's okay that Al cheated on
No way.
Landon. Nobody's saying that, but shit happens. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody in this chat has their skeletons. Everybody in this chat has their shit that they've done wrong to somebody else that they should have never done wrong to. It absolutely happens. But, I'm wondering if Al married Leticia to justify the affair that he had in his own mind, and tried to make it more than what it was because he felt guilty of maybe cheating on Landon. And then when once he made that decision and went through with it, it's all too late. Like shit, fuck. Now I'm stuck with this
definitely the wrong choice.
Woman, right?
Yeah, because the people were gossiping because they're all in the softball team together. They probably all went to the bar, played darts, whatever. They, who knows what they do after Saturday softball. But everybody knew. There were in the beginning in the groups, there were posts like Landon and Leticia were pretty good friends, and she was having an affair with Al. So Al probably looked like a scumbag. And you could be right. Maybe he was trying to justify it and say, it was much deeper than that. It wasn't an affair.
I think I could speak for us all who've been following this trial when we're listening to these phone calls, that at some point, at least once, we go, what the fuck did he see in this woman? Why would he marry her?
1,000,000 times. Yeah.
And and sitting here talking to you now, that's the soundest theory that I've come up with.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's
you're probably right.
Theory is that he just, probably felt guilty for how things went down with Landon and
well, you could tell there's some animosity between Landon and Leticia because Leticia is always saying, well, she's on drugs and she was doing all these terrible things and I'm raising her kids. So that's how Leticia justified. So what if we were friends? She was doing all this bullshit and I'm now raising her children. So no, I don't feel bad.
But if they were such bosom buddies, isn't it probably safe to assume that Leticia probably engaged in the same bad habits?
You'd think,
right? Like, I mean, when if I'm partying and doing drugs, I'm usually hanging around people who are too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm not, because those other people who don't do that, they're no fun.
No, I don't want to be around you. No.
Right.
Of course. So
right.
Leticia is no better than anybody.
Boring. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
She attacked Landon online.
And I haven't seen Landon post anything that is because actually the reason why now it's not like I've communicated with Landon behind the scenes, but not on a like a deep conversation level. She knows who I am. She knows why I'm covering the case for more or less, not into the deep detail that I went into on this. Nobody did until now, but I you know, was like, listen, I'm a YouTuber. I know what you must probably think of YouTubers and blah, blah, blah. And then what she did was she was like, any pictures that you want of Gannon, here's my Facebook. And she friended me on Facebook and allowed me access to, you know, which is how I was able to make that intro.
Which is beautiful. It was making me cry. I'm like, okay, well, no. Make me cry.
Can't forget that this is about Gannon, you know, so that's why that's kind of why I did that. But not at you. I mean, that's the reason I made it, and I start these things because why we're here covering this trial is because we want justice for him. And I, as much hatred as I feel for Letitia, I refuse to let I refuse to let those feelings take over my, you know, why, you know, my empathy for Gannon and the feelings that I have relating to Gannon and the justice that I want for him.
I started to see that happening on my own streams of the trial, that we were more interested in watching the things that she was doing in the courtroom and critiquing all of her finger movements. So I found a picture of Landon and Gannon, and now that's up there too. And you know, somebody was like, "Is that you and your son?" I'm like, "No, it's Landon and Gannon." And because I can get carried away too on focusing my attention on her, and even though she's the evil one in the story, we got to remember that we're here because this little baby was murdered. He was taken away from his mother, who's in this picture too. And you forget that because you're so wrapped up in somebody crazy like Leticia is, that you just focus everything on her and you forget the details of what people are talking about. And the things that they're saying that she did are horrible. You know, you can't forget what she did, even though she's batshit in the courtroom doing crazy stuff to her hair and whatever the hell she's doing all day. I get sidetracked with her. She's an easy one.
It's easy to do that, right? It's absolutely easy to do that.
It is.
You know, and I wonder, like, I can't help but wonder, you know, when if she's so frustrated with Gannon having this issue with his stomach and pooping his pants and you know, and she's so frustrated with it and can't cope with it and can't handle it, can't deal with it. But you know, then we have witnesses testify like she clearly didn't wash her hair, she didn't bathe, she didn't. So why are you giving Gannon a hard time?
Right.
Who are you to judge Gannon for having this issue? Like it's a medical and psychological issue for him. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
You know
like
what
you're
I mean?
at the jail right now, so allegedly maybe that's why your hair is crazy. But it was the lady. It was one of the ladies who
the nurse in the hospital,
right? Who was like, yeah, she clearly hadn't washed her hair. I'm like, oh my god,
right?
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, you're not this neat freak. You're not like some OCD neat freak who freaked out because of Gannon. You're not that. You're not what you're portraying yourself to be. And I think that is what she's trying to portray, is this very neat mom who works out and is a teacher and obtained her doctorate and got Al and has these wonderful kids. And I don't think anything in that story is true. Nothing, none of it. Harley, yes, she's grown up to be a responsible, beautiful young lady, but her on that stand killed me to hear. I was just thinking in my head, why didn't you ask Harley? Why, Harley? just say you asked. And then when she finally said, no, I didn't ask, I would get punished.
I
What do you
felt
mean you get
so
punished?
bad for her.
When she said it, my stomach dropped. I'm like, oh, what did she do to them? If
Right.
Harley was afraid,
And it
Gannon
doesn't
must have been
mean,
terrified.
right. It doesn't even mean that she, feared, and we know this because she said so, but even prior to her admitting the details of getting a backhand, right? It doesn't even
Backhand's the
mean
least of it, right?
exactly what I'm getting at. Like I remember, and again, not to get too personal, but Harley very much reminds me of my stepdaughter, who did everything she could to get out of the situation. Like her motivation, at least for my stepdaughter, her motivation for, and this is long after I was already out of the house and out of the picture. We just maintained a relationship, but long after her, that taking place, she was still doing very well in school. She had a functional relationship with friends. She wanted to work. She wasn't allowed to. She always had to be home. Always. So there was this level of control that she was subjected to on a constant basis.
Yeah.
And a kid just wants to be a kid, and that stress, they're going to submit to that adult figure, in the sense that whatever to keep them from, not so much I don't want them mad at me, it's I want them off my back. So
the environment changes in the house, and it feels like there's something on you, and you can't breathe. You can't. You're feeling like, why are they mad? What did I do? Did I do something? Why are they upset again? What's going to happen now? Did I come? Harley said, she knew it takes 12 minutes to drive home, or whatever it was, 22 minutes, and the Life 360. And she knew where she was. So where were you? Oh, I was at home. I had to be at home. And you knew, if you're somebody who's experienced those things and a childhood like that, you know exactly what she's saying. It wasn't about the backhand. It wasn't that Leticia is going to rage. It's that the whole dynamic now changes in the house. You're the one to blame. My focus is on you. You've ruined the day now. You did this. And but I didn't even do anything.
Right. Have you seen Harley's Instagram?
Yeah.
She is gorgeous.
She is.
And she looks happy.
She is happy. She found her soulmate. I love that.
Right. See, that's again, that
she got away.
Right. Like my daughter got married at like 19. Right. And now she is 28 years old now.
Oh, wow.
She's still married to the same guy.
Good. So good.
Because she called me up and she was like, I want your blessing and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I can't give it to you. You're getting married at 19. She was telling me that it was so that her husband could stay in the country because he's Canadian. Now she lives in Canada with him. So, you know what I mean? So, but I was like, I want you to be happy. And if you were telling me that you were getting married because you were in love, I would absolutely, I don't give a shit what kind of job the guy has. I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm nobody to preach on that. But I can tell you that I cannot sign off on you doing something like that for any other reason than this person makes you happy, But I feel like she misjudged. I wonder if she thought that if she told me that I wouldn't approve, that I, because I'm kind of cynical, and maybe I just be like, you're just being a dreamer and you got to get married for more practical reasons than that. and just misjudge the situation when she pitched it to me. And then that's what happened. That's the only thing I could think of, because all these years later, she's very happy,
Good.
but she like
she got away.
Which
was so good when that happens.
That's it. She got away. And
that weight goes, whew, goodbye. It's different. Yeah. When I moved from Massachusetts to here, I still hear about all the problems back there, but they're not on me. You know, that weight isn't there because I'm here. Nothing I can do. Sorry. And I've enclosed my little family over here, and this is what we do now. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot and you could feel it from her. She's so soft spoken, and you could see that she was not going to look over there. She was not going to have communication with that woman. She wanted to be free. Like, this is the last thing that I'm going to have to do right here. I've got to do this. I'm going to do this.
Exactly.
And then I'm done. I'm gone.
And I felt that, like you said, but what's really, and I hate being right as much as it seems like I don't, but I hate being right in the sense that, like, even back when I would go over, because I went over that interview where Letitia's back was turned at least 3 or 4 times on different live streams back then. And just to break it down, just to try to understand and assess it. And I remember you can hear her tone change when she addresses Harley.
Absolutely, you can.
She thinks that the camera's off. She thinks that she's directing the whole interview. And when the camera's recording and when it's not, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry.
Right.
No. And you hear her tone change as soon as she addresses Harley. The fakeness goes away, and she's just like, I need you to come over here, and I need you to tell them what blah, 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 because we were going to go on a hike, and blah, 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 blah.
But you weren't there. And I'm like,
right. Totally just, the tone is the for lack of a better term, the leash that she had on Harley, you know,
because Harley's like, what do I have to say? You just need to say yes.
Yeah, she would just give it a yank, always just give that leash a yank, and Harley would just, do whatever she wanted and say whatever she needed her to say. And it's crazy because Letitia knows this.
Oh, absolutely.
She knows that, without actually saying it out loud, she's basically saying, unless you want me to talk your fucking ear off for the next 5 hours with no lecture, with a lecture with no point, then you're going to do what I tell you to do. So she does whatever she needs her to and says whatever she needs her to say, whatever it takes to not have to deal with that. And that's exactly
when
what
the defense attorney tried to ask her, you didn't look in the back. You didn't look in the back of the van. You didn't look in the back of the van all those hours. And before Harley explained her life kind of a little bit, I was thinking the same thing. How the hell was she not looking in the back of the van? Like, you never looked back there? You never thought, what the hell are we doing? Where are we going? What's happening?
I believed it wholeheartedly when she said that she never looked in the back of the van. I believed it wholeheartedly. I believed that she sat there, didn't ask any questions. Nothing. Just how long before I don't have
to get out of this? Yeah.
Right.
Can I get out of this van at some point because I have to get out? Shit.
Right. I don't give a fuck what's going on back there.
No. I don't even want to know.
And honestly, the defense cross-examining her and being like, at no point you looked back, you weren't curious. But she's like, it's dark. I mean, first of all, that's a rape van if I ever saw one in my fucking life. First of all, I agree with True Crime Garage, ban the van. They have merch that says ban the van with a van on it because they're like, why in the hell do they keep making these vans? The white van with no windows and the screening between the passenger and driver area and the back.
That's horrible.
I mean, it seems it's created
for that very purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just like,
what else do you need it for?
Right. But in theory, even on a bright sunny day, dude, there's no windows coming through unless the sun is shining directly through the windshield. You're not going to be able to see anything that's back there. Right. And if all you see is a suitcase, that's all you're going to see is a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So why is that supposed to be suspicious to her? That makes no sense. That's
well, Probably because they were still looking for Gannon, and then all of a sudden they're running, and they've got these suitcases, and one's huge, allegedly with softball equipment in it. I mean, her brother knew something was kind of off about that suitcase, but he didn't go any further either. And he didn't have to live with her ass. So I'm sure Harley was like, I don't know nothing about that suit. I don't know nothing. I didn't see what was in it. I didn't think that we were going to take it into the hotel with us. I didn't think anything. She wasn't allowed to. She couldn't even ask the questions about Gannon. Her saying that she was afraid to open the door for the pizza man. This is a 17-year-old girl who has a job. Smart girl. Don't open the door. So she didn't. Right. And as she's telling her story, for sure how controlling and over the top Leticia was.
Totally. Like, and you look at her, like you look at the phone calls between her and Al, and you see how she's trying to control Al in those phone calls. And Al is a man in the military.
Yeah.
Who's like, and even, I mean, he did a good job, but you could tell that the dynamic of their relationship up until that point, it's probably fair to assume that he was just kind of like, okay, Leticia, whatever.
Yes.
Sure. Okay.
100%.
Just right. And then now his son is missing, and it's like, no, bullshit. This ends now.
Yeah.
So imagine a 17-year-old girl that was raised by her from birth. She is conditioned. She is conditioned to sit straight, look ahead, don't ask questions, don't question me, because at any given point, if she even raises an eyebrow, because that's what happened, with my stepdaughter, her mom was Mother of the Year. Up until they grew old enough to form their own opinions and ask questions. That's when the trouble started. When they're babies, oh, look, I'm super mom, I'm super mom, I'm super mom, I'm super mom. And then it's, wait a second. And, mom, I want to go out and hang out with my friends. No, what you can do is you can invite your friends here. And then that turned into mom getting involved in their friends' personal lives, and she's a part of the circle of friends with teenagers.
Oof.
And
Never
very
good.
toxic, extremely toxic.
Never good.
And it's just something that they accepted because she would let them smoke weed in the house. She would let them do whatever the fuck they wanted as long as she had control over that situation.
Right.
But you can't, I don't know what you're doing out on the street, blah, blah, blah. What?
Yeah. So you're going to let him do it in your house.
Right.
No.
Well, we'll have barbecues and we'll do this and we'll do that. And everybody's there as long as she gets to be included in the situation.
And control it. Yeah.
Right. And I sensed a very similar thing with Leticia because you could tell by the way Leticia talks. She doesn't talk like an educator. She talks like one of the students that she would be educating.
Yeah.
She doesn't have, she's not articulate. She doesn't have a vast vocabulary. She's extremely, and she talks like a kid.
She does. Even the email that she sent to the boss when she lied and said that her dad died or her stepdad died was the texting back and forth. Her sentences didn't even make sense. They didn't, they weren't the right words that she was assuming that she was using. She isn't who she pretended to be at all. And to your point about the kids, when Harley needed to stay with her coworker said, if you need anything, I'm here for you and let me know. So Harley goes to stay, and then Leticia gets the girl's number and tells her she's staying there too. Well, you weren't invited.
Not only that, what she does, if I'm remembering correctly, what she did was while she was in the car with Harley's coworker and sitting behind Harley's coworker in the car, has Harley's phone and texts her, "Can my mom stay with you too?"
Right.
Where she's like,
dude, what?
the fuck is going?
Right. Sure.
Yeah. What is going on?
So insane. Like,
right.
You know, what do you think at that point? You're like, I can't say no. She's in the car. So that's it. I guess.
And this was strangely was not foreign to me. And then I thought about how crazy it was that wasn't foreign to me. And I was just like, wow.
What?
You know, and
she has no shame. She doesn't give a shit. She's like, I'll text her while we're in the car. What's she gonna do about it? She's gonna say yes. Why are you putting your daughter in this position, you uncomfortable monster?
You put your daughter's friend in that position.
Yeah.
Because she knew didn't even care that or didn't even give her enough credit as a semi-adult human being.
Yeah.
To put together like, well, she has Harley's phone because her phone, the cops have it, right? And why the fuck is
would it just speak to her? Hey, Jennifer, do you mind if I say too? Everything's really uncomfortable at the house.
Right.
No, I'll just text you. You're literally 12 inches from me, but this is way easier.
While lying about who's texting her, like you don't have eyes.
Yeah.
and a brain to put things together. Oh man.
But I think she thinks that people did you notice this? Because I felt like I was harping on it a bit. Every time she talked to the FBI lady or Al, I already told you. I've told you this. I told you this the other day. I've already told you this, even though there were things she had not told them yet. She's gaslighting them. She's mind screwing them, saying, I've already told you all of this that happened in my first statement. But if you go back and listen, no, she didn't. That isn't what she said. So it's like she's manipulating their minds, thinking she's much smarter than them. And it's just going to keep saying, I've already told you this. You knew.
And just by saying things, for some reason, she thinks it makes them true.
Yes. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right. Just like like somebody can't look at something called evidence, and not even in a crime case, just simple like no, that's not what that, you know what I mean? Just because I remember going through my custody fight, there was I remember the emails that I would exchange with her, because it got to a point where I was just like, okay, she's not letting me see my kid. She's alienating me from him. So what I'm going to do is from now on, just communicate with her in writing. I have no reason to talk verbally with this person anymore. Done with that. So everything was email exchange for the purpose of evidence, right? Because I was like, at some point, I'm taking her to court. At some point.
Sure, yeah.
So in my own way, I was building my own case too, and so I I remember her, like there would be an email exchange between us where I would just be, I would constantly and stay on task, very much kind of like Al, where I would just be like, look, but my issue was I want to get him a phone, his own phone. I'll pay for it just so that I could talk to him. I just don't want to have to talk to you. There's no reason. He's old enough now, to where we don't need you for this. Right. You know what I mean? Like, so I want to have my own relationship with my son, and I will send him a phone and I'll pay for it, blah, blah, blah. And then completely avoid the issue. And then it would be about me and her.
I bet she didn't want that though.
And then, and no, she wouldn't allow that. Of course not. She needed that control. And then what she would do is she sent this thing to the judge, which was really funny because we show up to court. She shows up. This is pre-COVID, Tracy.
Yeah.
She shows up to court with her new husband pushing her in a wheelchair, and she's got a COVID mask on. Pre-COVID, mind you.
Oh my.
She's got a COVID mask. Oh, you know, and so
oh my.
So, yeah, and then the judge walks in and this is the first hearing, and he walks in with a manila envelope this thick, right? And he goes, for the record, right? Holds this thing up and he's like, napkin. For the record, I was sent this manila envelope by the she's not a defendant, but I was the one filing for custody. And he's like, I want it on record that I have not looked at this. I have not opened it. If you're going to present evidence, you have to go through the proper channels and present.
You do
properly. I'm not even looking at this. I want it on record that I received it, but I have not looked at it.
Oh my God.
And my attorney, of course, got a hold of this, and we just sat there and had a laugh because the emails. What she does is she put these little notes next to the emails saying, look what he's saying here. He's saying this and this, and it clearly says something else. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Right. Totally insane. And it clearly says something else. And I even joked with my lawyer where I was like, can I fire you and hire her as my attorney to represent me in this case? Because she's doing better for me in this than you are. Because I'm paying you a lot of money.
Yeah. She was one of those.
And she's ruining.
You know, 4 houses down, there's a Dalmatian that bites. She would say, he told me across the street there was a German Shepherd that will attack me.
Right.
Even though you just said it.
Right.
That's exactly what I think.
Right. No. Better analogy would be if I wrote down in the email, there's a Dalmatian down the street that might bite me, or that might bite you. Be careful. She would say,
he threatened me with that Dalmatian.
He threatened me with the Dalmatian. He's threatening to kill me with a Dalmatian, that the Dalmatian's going to maul me because it's rabid.
And he probably trained it in secret.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. That's Letitia.
That is Letitia. Yeah. If you listen, listening to her talk to Al saying, I thought you wanted the storybook that we had in December. Bitch.
Right.
My son's missing.
Right.
What part of that aren't you getting? But I thought you wanted to be with your daughter and your wife. My son's missing. How many times do you have to tell her? And he would say, yes, I love you. Well, you're saying that you don't want that storybook anymore. Why? Why are you speaking, Letitia? No. It had to be the most infuriating period, and then the saddest to find out in the end of all of this that this is what ended up happening to his son, and he had to deal with this woman, and probably never gets the truth from her anyway. It never comes out, right? I don't think she ever admitted to anybody except lawyers.
I don't even think that she admitted to the lawyers other than she actually did it. And then just gave a whole bunch of deflection as to why, but the lawyers are like, well, okay, she's obviously fucking crazy enough to think that we give a fuck. So let's play off her craziness and just blow it up and convince the jury that she's crazy. That's the
what expert can we hire?
Right. Because as my listeners know that I've been saying, when people want to trash the attorneys, I feel like they just don't have a case, but it's not their choice. They didn't go to Letitia and go, hey, I think we could beat this. Right. They didn't do that. She's the one that's like, I'm not guilty. Do your job and defend me, and they're like, but
how?
The best bet for you is the best chance you get is to plead guilty, and maybe the judge will be lenient, but there's too much evidence against you. No lawyer would be like, with all that evidence, no lawyer is going to be like, let's we could beat this. No fucking way, and on no planet in existence would a lawyer actually think they can beat that case.
Especially their opening statement. We've already lost. We've already lost. I'm like, well, this was a good trial.
Right.
What is going on right now? Are we watching the trial?
Right.
And he was right. You've already lost. You have.
Right.
Because one way or another, she's guilty by reason of insanity, or she's guilty. She's going somewhere, friends. She's going to the mental institution until she can go to prison, or she's going straight to prison. And I think that's what people sometimes are forgetting. She's going there till she can go to prison, or she's just going to prison. Unless they find her totally innocent, but she pled guilty. She's going. There is no freedom. There's no birds, sunshine, grass under your feet. There's nothing.
Never.
You get none of that.
Never again.
Never again.
That's already established. Like, you will never see the light of day on your terms ever again.
Ever. Nope. And nothing will be on your terms anymore.
No.
You're eating, you're sleeping, your little cage outside. You want to go to the library? No. Whatever they tell you to do. Orange is the new black, friend. And that's it. Yeah, so you get to do this, not what you want to do. And I think her daughter cut her off. I don't think her daughter wants to.
Yeah. Oh, man. And how infuriating was that when the defense tried to accuse her of being manipulative because she had a GoFundMe? Like, I can understand a kid in today's social media world that we live in,
she has no
and
parents.
Being that desperate, asking for help.
She has no parents. There's nobody left for her.
She has nobody, and is it such a stretch that Letitia's sister is probably an asshole too, to some degree, and is like, yeah, you could stay with me, but this is how it's going to be if you stay with me.
You got to pay rent. You got to do this. You got to do that. I'm sure this kid was like, oh my God, I just want to go out on my own. I just want to live life on my own terms. And she's old enough. She can. But you can't do that on a kid's salary, That's why now she's like a Instagram person. And she's going to do well. She's going to be a nurse.
And I hope she does.
Yeah. I believe she's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Better than Leticia ever was. With a real degree. Not a pretend fake degree.
Because a kid in that position, at least in my experience of knowing a kid in a similar position, a kid in that position is going to look at that person who is that controlling and that manipulative and just such a bear on them. Even though they're submitting and going, okay, yes, okay, sure, look straight ahead, whatever, they're still thinking in their mind, once I'm out of this, I know I'm never going to be like that. Yes. There's no fucking way I'm ever going to be like that.
And that's their motivation inside.
Right.
Right. The minute I can leave, I'm never going to look back. Never. Right. But in this situation, she knows, you killed little Gannon. You killed him. That's what you did that.
Right.
So she ran. I mean, she should have got $1 million if people wanted to donate to her GoFundMe. Who cares?
And she only raised $800. Yeah. I raised like double that on one live stream for somebody who we thought had cancer. It turned out to be a scam. And everybody got their money back. And then I was like, from then on, no more fundraisers ever again. I don't care. Go somewhere else. I hope you fucking succeed. I'm sorry if you have a genuine ailment, but I'm not doing it. Yeah. But in one live stream, I raised double that for someone. So to sit here and say that she's this manipulative opportunist, she could have raised more.
Yeah.
She could have.
She could put one out today after now being on this trial.
Totally.
She could totally put one out today, and there would be so many people trying to help this kid. But you know what? She's doing it on her own. If you watch her Instagram and you look at what her life is today versus what it was, she's doing well. She's happy. She's away from that monster of a mother. So I'm happy for her too. Oh yeah. The
And
mother
she'll
has
never
problems.
and she'll never get away from this. Like this is something it's going to be something she's going to have to manage for the rest of her life,
For sure.
in her heart and in her mind, no
She's
matter
in
what.
therapy, so that's a good thing.
Right.
She is getting therapy. She's met somebody overseas and she visits him, and she seems like she's doing okay. She seems a hell of a lot healthier than some of the people we've seen who are remnants of some of these cases, who
Right.
just end up lost and don't know what to do with their life. She seems like she's on the path she wants to be on. So
Agreed. And like, I have to agree with the Spudler's comment here. To be honest, doing it on her own is a big part of the healing. And I have to emphasize on that because, as I stated before, and since I started this channel, I've always been very candid about the fact that I struggle with depression and anxiety and things of that nature. And I say struggle as opposed to suffer because this is something that you always, it's never going away.
Nope.
It's something that you have to decide what's the best way for you to manage it. But one way or the other, you have to manage it, or it's just going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
And the best thing I've learned to do is to be productive to some degree. Exercise, physical exercise is a big deal for me. I don't do it because I want to be physically stronger or I want to be better looking. I do it because I need to. I need to. I need to like put on headphones and listen to it could be old Metallica or Pantera or Neil Diamond or Kendrick Lamar. What the fuck ever my mood is that day is me doing that and lifting weights and then feeling exhausted and accomplished at the same time, to where those things are in a neat little place in the back of my head and asleep.
Yeah.
And when they start to wake up, I go back to the gym, and then I can get in the right mindset, and then I can come on here and do this. And then I'm still doing something somewhat productive, and I feel great. And I have total control over those things.
And you found ways to cope, which is amazing.
Right.
Because some people don't.
And it took me 40 years. It took me 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I can do. These things are not something that I tell people this is what you need to be doing. No, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just sharing what works for me.
Yeah.
It could be
different for anybody.
It could be putting together a puzzle on your table once a week. You know what I mean? Whatever the fuck works for you. Medication, depending on how severe it is. But as that comment says, she doing these productive things in her life, and that is going to be the best thing for her healing.
100%.
Without any doubt.
Yep. And she's, she might be one of those lucky ones. She might be one of those ones that we can look back, in 5 years. And I wonder remember that case? And she's still okay. She's still okay. So will Dime Bag Daryl and I don't know what that means.
Oh, he's making a reference to Dimebag Daryl, who, rest in peace, died. And yes, I know all about Pantera and Phil Anselmo being a racist piece of shit. I already gave him my money. I can't take it back, so I might as well enjoy the music. It's good music. You can't deny that.
What is Cherry saying? No puzzles. I don't want to be in a suitcase. Oh, the suitcase.
There's a suitcase trial. Yeah. Has that started yet, or?
It was supposed to in April, and it was delayed. They went to court, and she got another delay. So that is delayed. I can't wait for that one. I mean, she lied, but it was on tape, so she screwed too. But that's going to be difficult because there was, a lot of domestic stuff going on. So I don't know. We'll see about
Sure.
that one.
I can't come to a conclusion of how I feel about that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I have to hear the arguments.
Yeah.
I have to hear the arguments. Like, I see myself as a juror already looking at that, and I'm just like, man, like, I don't know if,
like, why were you in there, bro?
Why did you go in the suitcase? You're not talking me into getting in the suitcase. I don't care how drunk I am. I don't care how playful we're being. I'm not getting in that suitcase.
Hell no.
You know what I mean? And if we're getting in an argument about it, I need to reevaluate the nature of our association.
Yeah. For sure. I'm not getting in anything, bro. Like, I'm not getting in the bathtub
because I'm not right. Yeah.
If I think you're kind of drunk and mad at me for allegedly doing something to you, I'm not getting in nothing. So there's that. But a suitcase?
Yeah.
As a grown man?
That's a grown man, Like, and I've had poor judgment when I drink. That does happen. But
have you ever gotten in a suitcase?
Nope.
Closet? No.
Nope.
Bathroom stall where it locks from the outside.
Yeah, I've said things I don't mean.
Sure. I say things I don't mean. I'm sober. So
right.
But I don't get in. I don't know. I told my husband about that one. I'm like, yeah, this chick killed her man. He was in a suitcase. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, she zipped him in the suitcase. He suffocated. He's like,
yeah,
what?
Just imagine the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
can't you breathe through a suitcase? Like, it's not hard. Like, you can breathe. I don't know what happened there. I'm so
right. Confused. There's too many. Right. It's too weird of a case.
And the zippers are like this.
Right.
So on the inside, why didn't you unzip it from inside? What happened?
Exactly. It's too weird of a case to ignore, but it's also too weird of a case to just come to a quick conclusion as to.
Yeah.
It
doesn't make sense.
Guilty or innocent.
She's taping him and he's talking. I'm like,
she's proud of this. Right.
Get out of the suitcase, bro. Get out.
Right. Yeah. Just, get out of the suitcase. How did you get into it?
Yeah. And how little were you?
Right. I mean, I'm 6'1". If you can get me into a suitcase, kudos.
Yeah.
Good luck.
They're putting you in like a military box suitcase or something. And
Good
luck.
luck.
You might suffocate in there, but this looked like a regular suitcase. What happened? Maybe he was a contortionist. He's a tiny man. Okay. Dolly deeds. But I couldn't get into a suitcase. I'm 5'6".
I could see Dolly, ending up in a in a different city somewhere because he got lost in the baggage. I can see that happening by accident. I can see that happening
because his new RV broke down. He had to ship himself home. So funny. I can't. It was from positional asphyxiation. Okay, sure, but I mean, he had to be like 5'4". I don't know. Some people have weird kinks.
I'm probably gonna cover this trial.
Have to do it. You got to do it
because I'm just too curious.
Same.
It's gonna take up a lot of my time because I'm just gonna be like, what?
Yes. Do you find yourself like with this trial, with Gannon's trial? Once you're on it, you're like laser focused on this trial, right?
Totally. The only time that I didn't was, I mean, it wasn't the wisest move to have like Father Time, the medical or the blood spatter expert, like right after the lunch, because like I was stuffed full. I know the whole courtroom was. So this old man who took forever to answer a question from the prosecutor, I was like this.
You're killing.
I had to make jokes. I had to make jokes about him being old. Like that was, I think, the only time I really put forth humor in that trial was just because like it was the only way I could keep my chat awake.
It takes everything, like there's some stuff right now happening with Summer Wells, and you have to pry yourself away from what you're so focused on, which is Gannon. And I'm also really focused on the Valo audios. I'm obsessed with those. But it's almost like it takes everything to
see. I don't have
away
that
for a
kind
second.
of. Yeah, if I start to do that, then like I just don't have the attention span to be able to. I have to stay laser focused on one thing, or I'll lose focus.
Yeah.
I miss one thing, I'll lose focus on everything, and that's just because of my own learning disabilities. It has nothing to do with interest or lack thereof. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So like I am super invested in Gannon, even though I am interested in the Valo case. At first the Daybell Valo thing was for me just too confusing.
Oh my gosh.
There was too many people involved, too many. I was like, what in the fuck is going on with all of this?
I know.
And then
when it all comes down and you realize what the hell just happened here, you're like, no.
Right. Yeah, there's
impossible.
a pattern. Like, yeah, okay, they're just killing off
one by one.
Right. It's they're killing off a trail. The loose ends. They're just
anybody who was dark.
At the end of the day, it's simple.
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's simple, but to go from who they were initially to who they became or who they thought they were, you know, they thought they were going to lead these people to the promise, you know, of Jesus returning and the whole nine. But you really sit and think, because it's not just a case, this actually happened. There's kids involved. There's wives who've been with husbands for decades. People who were good. They were do-gooders. They were good people. And you did all of this? What the fuck did you think? What did you think? And to top it off, they think that they did all this for the good, that, you know, their God wanted them to do it. And I'm like, you've got to be friggin' kidding me. And you could accept it if it was just one person. If it was just Lori, you're like, okay, maybe she's just completely wacko and her religious views are crazy. But it was two of them together. Two seemingly normal friggin' people did this stuff with the help of her brother. So now it's three people who believe that people turned into zombies.
Right.
What?
Right. Now, the question is, did they really believe that they turned into zombies? Or were they just speaking in code?
No, her brother, Alex's ex-wife, Zulema, she testified. And I listened to it going to bed last night. And they asked.
Oh, Zulema testified. See, I wish I was following that because I just don't. Yeah.
So good. Like if you're working out, go.
I'm so familiar with the case. Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
It's so good. You have to. It's crazy because they're like, did he believe it? Yeah, I 100% believed it. You believe people were zombies? What kind of zombies? Like the Walking Dead zombies, zombies that look like humans, robot zombies? What did you think? What the hell are you talking about?
Right.
And why are children zombies? It's the craziest case ever. I hate everybody who didn't allow us to have cameras in the room. Thanks, Court TV. How dare you? How dare you zoom in on that loon? It's so good. Oh, it's so good. Bad. Right. It's so terrible, but it's very interesting to listen to. So
yeah, I would be if the Gannon thing wasn't going on, I would be fully invested in it. I would be. I know I would be because I was super I was very invested in the case when it was happening.
Yeah. I'm like taking daytime naps on lunch break, putting on a podcast, taking a daytime nap real quick. And now I'm gathering all of the audio to start streaming it at night. I'm obsessed because it's so wacky.
I'm afraid to get into that, man. Because also and we'll get into this in a second, but actually before I do, let me just say that I'm to the point, I think you would probably agree with me that at this point in the Letitia Stout trial, there's more than enough evidence already presented in the case. Like, do they really need to go through another 5 weeks of presenting evidence to prove their case?
I don't think so. I think they'll do a week and a half.
When will it get to the point to where the judge will say, prosecution, I think you've made your case. You know, I think it's enough. Do we need to put Al and Landon and anybody else who cared about Gannon through this anymore?
Right.
You know, because I mean, as entertaining as it is to some degree, because it's interesting, you know, great. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, and I'm gonna see it through. Don't get me wrong,
of course, yeah.
But I'm already getting to the point where I'm like, what else do you need to?
Yeah. What else can they possibly say?
Right. Like if I'm a juror, even though I can't talk to the other jurors, if I'm a juror, I'm walking out of there going, this bitch is fucking guilty as fuck, and I hate her.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, like I feel like they did a good job of proving this.
For sure.
That she knows right from wrong. She lied and tried to cover it up. She's manipulative. She's entitled. She personifies that of an evil person. Even if you've never met one, you just did.
Now you know one, yeah.
In theory, what you would build an evil person with, she is presented, like the prosecution has done a great job of presenting that.
Sure.
You know,
yeah, I agree.
You know, now I know we still need to hear from
the defense.
Well, we need to hear from them, but we also need to hear from the psychological experts that have already diagnosed Letitia. Because I mean, she got evaluated twice. When it happened the second time, I was like, what is the judge doing? Like, why are you indulging her? This, you know,
but that was to determine if she could stand trial, right? I don't think she ever consented or was okay with a medical professional from the prosecution side evaluating her for the mental health at the time of the crime. I wonder, I mean, I've looked at the witness list. Do you know that on the witness list, by the way, totally different thing, her first husband overdosed, right? Chance, Harley's dad. Somebody from the coroner's office is scheduled to testify at Leticia's trial.
Okay.
But he died in Ohio while he was working. He lived in North Carolina in Lumberton, where she was, but he was out working in Ohio, and the two hadn't been in a relationship together for a while.
Right.
Why would the coroner come in there to... Why would anybody from Butler County Coroner's Office be testifying at Leticia's trial? That's really odd to me.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. That's fascinating.
It's true. Yeah. We found her on the witness list the other day, and I'm like, why? Why would she be there? So it doesn't make sense. So there's more coming.
Is she testifying for the defense or for the prosecution?
It doesn't say. It's just a very long witness list. I can send it over to you. I'll email it over. It's a PDF, but it's.
I think I have it. I just haven't. I think I have it. Somebody sent it to me. I think Cherry actually dug it up and sent it to me.
It's just her name and then Butler County Coroner.
Yeah.
It's like on one of the last pages.
Huh. That's weird.
Why would she be hired as an expert witness, though? She is out of Butler County, where her first husband, Harley's dad, died from an overdose in a travel inn with a roommate.
It could be something as simple as a phone call interaction that the two of them had.
Possibly.
You know, maybe. Sure. You know, it could be something as simple as when I talk
somebody from Ohio to Colorado. That's something, you know?
Right. I mean, right. I mean, like I said, it could be something as simple as Letitia called there trying to get information, and she sounded like an asshole and the prosecution wants to be like, here's another example of Letitia being an asshole.
Right.
They recorded the conversation, so here it is. You know,
people are asking, what did he overdose on? It was fentanyl and oxycodone, I believe.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the Sarah Dreyer thing. Since I have you here, if you have some time.
Sure, I have a couple minutes.
Because I know that I know you've got opinions on this whole thing.
Of course.
And now I haven't looked too much into that, but this is something that really, really infuriated me, actually, when I saw this. And this was clipped by Chronicles of the Shady, one of the better clip channels for sure, and a friend of the channel. But let's watch this for a second.
All right, so
let me hold on. So
all right, so
I meant to pause that. Okay, there we go. So here, JLR's post, because as soon as he was posting this stuff, because I follow his community post closely because I can't stand this fool and what he does. And it says here, what happened to missing 38-year-old Sarah Dreyer, Riverview, Florida, vanished on the afternoon of 4/10. Earlier the same morning, judge denied her petition against her neighbor. And it says domestic issue, Hillsbury County watch. So this is, I mean, why is he harassing her neighbors? This is what he does, but I love, yeah, I love that he was confronted.
All right, so they put this.
Hey, you need to watch the post.
Excuse me?
There's real people's lives at stake here. I haven't worked for 3 days because people post.
All right, what am I
ignorant
posting?
Stuff.
What am I posting?
Post a picture of my wife and it had your name on it.
Okay, so I posted a picture on internet. So what? What's your point?
Do you understand? I've missed 3 days of work because of ignorant people like you post stuff that isn't even true.
What is your point, dude? I don't want a provocation.
It's defamation.
Okay.
You don't want a provocation? That's not a thing, but
it's not a thing. But if it was, it would be him who provokes.
Absolutely.
It's constantly him who provokes.
You posted his wife, you're on his street, and you're posting things on the internet that are not accurate. It's not your business. It is not up to you. This is not why we're in true crime.
Right.
It's not. This is not something you do on a YouTube channel with definitely unstable people as your subscribers, because they are approving of all of this wackadoodle stuff that you do. So that really makes me question what is happening there. And P.S., since the beginning, this family said this was a mental health crisis. It was a mental health crisis, and you're posting his wife online.
Which is a very private family issue.
Yeah.
Very private. All they wanted was to put her name and face out there and the concern for her safety so that if you see her, report it so that she can be helped, period.
Oh.
And that's all that is all you are asked to do as a YouTuber or someone who watches YouTube or anybody who has a decent heart and cares about the well-being of a missing person.
Nobody asked you guys. And then they asked you to stop. They asked you to stop.
Right. And very respectfully.
So respectfully.
Extremely respectfully, in a very public post, didn't name his name, didn't do anything, just said, if there are YouTubers helping by putting her name out there and putting her face out there, thank you. Yeah. But if there are people who are showing up to our house, understand that our family is already dealing with enough. Yeah. You know, respect the boundaries that we set. This is our problem.
Want them at their homes, and that's all they said. Is if you see a YouTuber out there and you have information on Sarah, please remember, you could be telling somebody this information. You don't know who they are. Bring it to the Hillsborough County Police. Don't talk to YouTubers about it.
Right. Exactly.
That's normal. A normal request.
It's not. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Then civilly do something.
You probably have nothing is the issue.
Okay. Have a great day. I'm not concerned. I'm not here for you.
Dude.
Okay. Thank you.
Now I find that funny that he says civilly do something. See, Jonathan no longer has the right to sue anybody because he ruined that for himself. Because I'm sure you're already aware of the fact that he abused the right that someone has to take someone to civil court. He stomped that right into the ground for himself. So I don't see, I mean, first of all, if somebody actually does take him to court, they're just automatically going to win, you know? And here he is telling them, challenging them to sue him.
Because what you're doing, I have a 19.
I don't want provocation. I don't want provocation.
But you're causing it on the internet.
Listen, if you don't like it,
I don't like it.
Then contact Twitter.
Like, why are you being a jackass?
What do you mean?
Not doing anything.
This is what I said on Twitter.
Right. He's simply asking you to respect their privacy and respect their difficult time. And he's saying, if you have a problem, contact Twitter. But no, like, you're the source of the problem. I'm confronting you, and he's doing it extremely respectfully as well. He's right in front of him, and maybe it's because there's cops right there, but nevertheless,
there's no way my husband would approach this in that way. If Scott saw him out and about in our neighborhood, and he had posted photos of me because I had an argument with my neighbor, and the neighbor Scott would snap him in front of the police and go to jail. I keep saying the same thing because I know from experience, they are going to run across the wrong person. There is not one thing that you could do to stop Scott from doing it. I would try, I would get in front of him, I would beg him not to do anything. There's no possible way. There's no way. And you're going to meet the wrong people. And this guy is very nice. He's being so nice.
Right.
And you just can't deal with that. You don't want provocation. That's not even the right word to use. It's not the right word.
All right.
This is exactly what I said on Twitter. I said on April 10th, in the morning of April 10th,
it doesn't matter.
Sarah Dreyer, who went missing, filed some sort of injunction in the court against an individual.
While you're on there with the cops, sir, when you file an injunction, how through the courts, when do you notify the person that they're filing the injunction against? You don't.
They don't need to be notified.
We wouldn't be notified, right? So how the fuck would we even know that she?
So was there an injunction filed against Stephanie Sumner?
If there was an injunction filed, then they would
judge threw it out.
Right, but we
judge threw it out, but there was one.
No, we don't know that.
You don't know that.
Right.
We heard that the judge threw it out and there was nothing ever done.
So
the judge threw it out, but there was something filed with the courts, correct?
I'll be honest,
okay, but there is.
Giving him ammo at this point.
Yeah.
So I was just leaving.
I mean, I would.
A douchebag that's causing problems.
Okay, have a great day. Have a great day. Have a great day.
Now, I gotta say this. Okay, that's one of the most annoying things to me is when someone passive aggressively, even in a comment, that cowardly passive aggressive bullshit
blows you off.
They go, have a nice day or have a blessed day.
Yeah,
like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you're here starting shit,
right?
And I'm trying to talk to you, and you tell me have a nice day. You're about to have a really bad day, sir. You're about to have a fucking bad night right now.
Because I and it's really interesting. I'll get to my next point after this next happens.
I'm sitting here minding my business. You're causing a problem with me. You're coming to me.
Okay. I have to stop him right there. The last thing you're doing is minding your own business. You're inserting yourself in other people's business that has nothing to do with you. And
that's your whole job, dude. Right. It's your persona is minding everybody else's business and not your business.
And somehow making it your viewers' business when it's not theirs either. Like if you think that that's your business, you need to get the fuck off the internet. You're an asshole. If you support this, you're an asshole. Yeah. Like I don't care who you are. If I have people in my chat that are like, well, I like you and I like JLR too. Well, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, Seriously, get the fuck out of my chat. You're not welcome here.
And a lot of people will say that, and it's like, no, not possible. Not possible.
Yeah, no way.
Stop. It's not. No.
Hey, you're coming to me.
You're being stupid about
okay, you're coming to me.
You're actually causing problems with the neighborhood.
See, and these poor guys don't know him, so they're trying to reason with him. He's impossible to reason with. Impossible.
Okay,
so please, in your mind, the neighborhood. You problems with neighborhood.
Okay,
so please,
in your mind,
the neighborhood.
Have a good. I'm here documenting what's going on.
Shit what you're doing.
Okay, but I'm not going anywhere. I have the right to be here.
We don't want you in our neighborhood.
But I have the right to be here.
We understand that. But
okay, have a great day. Thank you.
Making money off somebody's port.
Have a great day, guy. See you later. See you guys.
Money off,
See you guys. I have a right to be here. I'm going to be here covering this case. I'm not bothering anybody. These guys come to me.
You're causing problems with this neighborhood.
Listen.
And let me know if you ever want to interject. Just tell me to pause it. It's no problem.
There aren't even words.
The people who
have a great day, guys. Take care. Take care. Have a great day. God bless you. Take a great.
If you weren't on camera, you would probably be calling me all kinds of names.
Why would I do that? I'm not into that. You're making assumptions, dude. I don't want no problems. See you later.
Your concerns to him. We're not going to have a disturbance here.
Yes. See you later.
It's freedom of speech. If he wants to stay in your report and do what he wants to do, he can. Okay.
Have a great day, guys.
Please refrain from just putting anybody in the neighborhood into jeopardy because you're doing it right now with the stupid things that you said.
Okay. Like I said, you voice your concern to him. He's going to be staying here. We're not going to make him leave. Okay. So
see, that is the most infuriating aspect of this exchange right here. Is this Barney Fife fucking excuse for a cop that's defending him, and that's not the first time I've seen it happen.
No, it happens all the time
with JLR.
Yeah,
and I have my theories on this.
Yeah,
I have my theories on this, but I'm to the point, Tracy. I'm to the point where, and I'm not gonna lie, and this is why I don't care saying it. Once I make this point, you'll understand what I mean. I would never go out looking for JLR. I would never encourage anyone to do so. That's not ever encouraged here.
Sure.
I do not encourage violence, but I know me. And if I was in that position, like this gentleman is, unfortunately, I'm going to personally make sure, if I'm in that position, I would personally make sure that Jonathan Lee Riches has a limp for the rest of his life. I would Nancy Kerrigan the fuck out of that dude.
Yeah.
In a second. Like without, in front of the cop, take me to jail. I would stand in front of a judge and be like, guilty.
Yeah. You can't keep disrupting people's lives.
Yeah. Guilty. Yeah.
Their evidence, even if he did
blunt
something
object
like that.
to his knee and went to town.
Look at the evidence you have on that channel. He was at Donwell's son's house the other day in Utah. What? Why are you there? Standing outside the house like a creeper.
Right.
What are you doing there? Why are you there?
Right.
Why? It's like feeling unsafe. And I get it's a public sidewalk. You can stand where you want. You can record things. No problem. If this man was smart, he's like, whoa, my fucking wife's picture is on Twitter. And he goes and he looks at the content. He's thinking, oh my God, my wife could get stalked now. Right. This is never going to end. I'm not going to be able to go back to work because of what's shown on that channel. And this Barney Fife guy, the policeman, he doesn't know who he's dealing with. He doesn't know what he's seeing here. He's like, oh, it's just some guy who's posting something on Twitter. Who cares? No, people care because we know what they do.
Right.
And they don't stop.
And this is going to piss you off even more. And I posted this days ago. Days ago.
Was the world famous YouTuber post? I did see that, and I almost fell on the ground. Like, you're not, and you're so rude to this family, and oh my God.
This actually happened just maybe a week or two ago. This is a detective. This is a detective. Take a good close look.
Yeah, how are you? Thank you. How are you? What's your name? Bill. Bill. Nice to meet you, man. Thank you. How are you? So what's this?
That's a detective. Okay. That's
Is he like independently wealthy and like paying people? What is going on here? Did he just say, I saw you on social media? Is that what he just said?
I follow you on social media is what he said. And then gave him a fist bump. And that is a detective. So here's where I'm at. Okay. Right. Here's where I'm at. Okay. Because he's very calculated in what he does. Okay. Because Deets on the Streets actually did a fantastic documentary film, an hour long, on Jonathan Lee Riches and his motives, basically exposing his motives. He's on a recording saying that he is just trying to troll. He doesn't believe in anything. He goes to Trump rallies. He doesn't actually support Trump.
No.
He goes to Trump rallies, but he does this because I figured it out after seeing that, because I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He does this so that he can get police support wherever he goes.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hooves on the Ground is saying, do you think JLR is an asshole because he got stretched while he was in prison because no, he got into prison because he's already an asshole. But thank you. But thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm of the opinion that that's what he's doing, and that's why he has certain police supporting him, because he has taken that political role where he's doing everything he can pro-Trump, and taking advantage of the country being split, and then he gets the support from these Proud Boys who happen to be cops.
I think he also, I think he's smart enough to be the guy who pulls up into a county and makes sure that he goes there. Hey, I'm JLR. You might have seen me on social media, whatever, and lets them know what he's going to be doing. I don't think he is like the other hooves on the ground. I think he knows what he's doing. This is a guy who pretended to be Adam Lanza's uncle.
Absolutely,
a guy who is not stupid at all. He's not stupid. He knows what to do. He knows exactly what to do. That's why he never gets into this kind of trouble. The trouble he gets into is a little bit higher than what we're thinking. Somebody said he won $8 million. He won $8 million in lawsuits. He's rich. Well, you have to wonder, how is he traveling everywhere doing the things that he does? And I mean, that could be very well true that he has lawsuit money. JLR is the kind of person, the tenacity that he has, the fact that he isn't stupid like a dumb person, and he's interested in this stuff. He could do good. He's one of the people who could do good.
Right.
And
because he's so tenacious.
Because of that very reason. Because he doesn't stop. He really wants to know. He could do good. And I just don't get it. Something is not right, that whatever it is that's happening, maybe he doesn't even know. Does he see it? Does he realize that this is not appropriate? I don't know.
He does. No, he absolutely does, because he hides behind freedom of speech. He hides behind this. And that's exactly what that police officer was saying. Like, I'm not going to make him leave. Like, I know that almost in any other situation, that the police officer in that situation would normally just be like, listen, dude,
Move
you
along.
don't live here.
Yeah.
You know, at least do the decent thing and leave these people alone. The fact that that police officer defended him and was like, and then pretty much attacked the neighbors and were like, I'm not going to make them leave. You're causing a problem. You're the one being aggressive. And they weren't being aggressive in the slightest bit.
No.
They addressed him. They confronted him in a peaceful, respectful manner and said, because I can't even go to my job right now because of what you're doing, because of how you're abusing the use of social media.
Yeah.
Hooves on the ground.
Following.
I agree with you, hooves on the ground.
Does. And then what do you do when somebody has a big following and people are searching for this woman and they're saying your wife, such and such, whatever? What do you do after that?
Right.
I mean, you could go and explain it and say, I don't even know what you do. And you're harming people's lives, JLR. Not everything needs to be out there. Go to the police with it, if you're really that concerned, or go to the family, or, I don't know, do something. But social media is not always the way to go. There are crazy people out here.
Right. He doesn't care. And he thinks, well, he doesn't think, you can tell the nature of his malice. You can tell that there's a malice in his nature because he, if you look at his community posts, after this family posted this thing saying, we don't need the help of YouTubers. We don't need you showing up and blah, blah, blah. We're asking you to please respect. Then he took that as an attack, even though they didn't name his name, but he took that as an attack because he's the only asshole showing up there. He took it as a personal attack. And then he's like, right. He's like, well, I guess they don't want our help, and then Betty decides to chime in order to simp for him, because Betty's a simp. She simps for him, and then she's like, well, and then just doubles down on the attack against this family, and then triples down on it, spreading rumors about her being a drug addict and blah, 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 and just totally attacking what could be a victim, because at the time we don't know the circumstances of why she's missing. Even though she left a note.
Even though the family has come out and said there are mental health issues.
Right. And even though she might have had a mental health issue, we still don't know the circumstances of why she's not actually missing. She could have said, hey, I'm going off to kill myself. Right. She could have done that. Sure. But then, for all we know, on her way to go off and kill herself, somebody picked her up and raped and murdered her. You know what I mean? Somebody could have done that.
She could have went off to a motel where it's seedy and something terrible happened. You don't know. They just wanted people to keep their eyes open, not do all of this, other things. Not everything is some crazy, wacky, spider web of a case. Sometimes it's very simple. Somebody has a mental health issue and they want to get away for a bit, and something tragic happens. She may have decided to privately and quietly take her own life. To implicate all these people and cause these problems within a family and neighbors is insane. It's not appropriate. It just makes us look, I don't even know what it makes us look like anymore. Crazy. It makes people look crazy.
I have decided that I'm going to take measures within the boundaries of the law, but I've decided that I'm going to take measures. I don't know how effective they will be, but something needs to be done. But I figure fight fire with fire,
Sometimes you have to.
more or less. I don't like, again, I don't know how effective it's going to be, but I'm going to do something because this can't go on.
No.
You know, and it's not fair to other YouTubers who are just who are genuinely trying to help families and trying to help victims, and it's not fair to any of us.
It isn't. You know,
right.
I think about it all the time. I'm like, well, just keep doing the good stuff, you know, try and just do the good stuff and ignore this stuff. But you become so frustrated when the case that you're talking about intertwines with the theories and rumors that they're talking about, that people are coming to your chat and saying, yeah, but this, and this. And it's like, you're putting me in a position where I have to speak on these people because I know that's where you're getting this information and it's wrong. So now, just to say, no, this is wrong or that's not right, you're now a target. You're a cockroach and a hater and a whatever kind of weirdo channel who's obsessed with them because you're trying to give out the right information rather than the bullshit.
Right.
And it's crazy. You can't, on a mature level, have a conversation or ask them questions that they believe are a threat. You can't do any of it. Your cracking cases had Betty and I up, and she called me a clickbait bitch. And I'm like, fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't even know, you know, and I was super calm, just like, you know, why would you do that? And you were cool with getting Don Wells fired? Like, why? Why would you do that? Really calm. You know, she's like, I have never watched you and I don't watch you, but I know you talk about me. And I'm like, okay. And then, and you're a clickbait bitch. I'm like, but you don't watch me. So how do you know that I'm clickbaiting? What you talking about over there, Betty? So
right.
I don't know. Like, you can't win for losing with these guys. You can be reasonable. You can be troll them. You can do all the things and nothing makes a difference. So what's the point, really? You know, I don't even know the point of bothering.
I mean, this is my theory, you know, for a solution here is because they're hiding behind the fact that people won't talk about them, yet they want to be recognized for their work, that they're, you know, they're obviously doing what they're doing for clout.
Sure.
I say, give it to them. That's what I say. I say, you know, and again, I don't like to tell other channels what they should or shouldn't be doing, but you know, if the reason why you don't want to discuss them or talk about them is because you don't want to give them more clout, I say that's it's the opposite. They should get more clout, in the sense that because people are generally good people. People in the majority of people are decent, smart people. Yes, they have a following, and yes, their following would probably build a little bit, but the overall view of them, if it grows, will be that's not what you do.
Right.
Who the fuck are these crazy people? What are they doing?
Yeah.
You know, that would be the common consensus. You know,
if I could see down the road some kind of resolve or even a conversation with any of them, if I could see that my voice would do something other than correcting misinformation, which I'm happy to do all day, but even bothering with them is so frustrating because I want to say every word in the book. And, you know, we've heard my mouth on my other channel, and I want to say all the things to them. But I don't, we could just go back and forth, you know?
Sure.
Your channel will get views, my channel will get views. We'll have a fucking party over here.
Right.
But I really want them to see, like, why are you doing this? That's what I want them. Like, we're not doing this because we hate you. We're not doing this because we want to have an argument. We really are doing this because we don't understand where you're coming from with your approach. It doesn't work. It is not helpful in any way. And we're all kind of in this community, maybe some on the outskirts of each other. We're here
Right.
together, whether you fucking like it or not. We're all here together. And we don't like what you're doing to our neighborhood because it's kind of gross. It's like if we had an HOA, we'd be getting you the hell out of here because you don't know how to act. Your yard's a mess. Your dog shits everywhere and you don't pick it up. Now we've had enough. We're voting you off the island because you don't know how to act. Or we can have a little community meeting and you can explain to us why you think screaming in people's faces, doxing them, harassing them, playing baby music when you're also calling a baby a bag of maggots, getting people fired from their jobs. Why do you think that any of this is okay? And you think that nobody should talk about it? And when we do, we're wrong and we're doing something to you. No, you're doing something to the families that we're also covering. We're covering it and you're covering it. We care and you're nuts.
And
Stop
let's
being
say
nuts.
that the people that they're just jumping to the conclusion of guilt. Let's say that they are guilty. You're building a case for their defense.
Yeah.
And you're putting them in the defense. You're putting them in a position to where the defense can say these people are victims. They were harassed online. They were, they were judged by the court of public opinion. There's no way that they could have gotten a fair trial.
Look at Leilani's
They were cheated out of a fair trial, right?
Yeah.
Leilani's situation,
all on video.
All of it. Right. Right. And Leilani may very well walk if she has a good enough attorney.
Tracy Anne.
All that person has to do is prove to a jury this person never stood a chance of a fair trial here.
Yeah.
That's all they have to do.
Yeah, if they can't get the venue moved.
And then you've got a murderer of their own toddler walking the streets just like Casey Anthony.
Because it never ends. And what was done to that family, as much as you want to take Leilani because you might think that she's guilty, you're not on YouTube now. You're just a regular mom on the road. You want to beat her ass. Of course. You're like, I want to drag her and whoop her ass.
Right.
But on YouTube, you have to represent yourself a bit differently. You don't have to be this way. You can say, well, she's entitled to a fair trial. So I'm going to do my part in making sure that I just report on what I know and not stand outside with the bullhorn all night or get donuts delivered or liquor delivered and all this shit we're out here doing. Like, it's like a meet and greet. It's baffling to me. It's baffling to me.
Yeah. And they're posing a real threat to justice.
Yeah.
They're posing a genuine threat to justice being served. I'm grateful that Duty Ron has spoken up about it.
Yeah.
Because of all the people, I love that a former law enforcement officer is saying this is why it's bad.
Yeah.
And I've known Duty Ron for a long time. I followed his channel for a long time. I've had conversations with him on panels. I remember the first time I had a conversation with Duty Ron was on Mommy Rambling's blog channel once. This was at least 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And maybe even 4. And he was just like, I don't like to engage. I try to stay in my own lane. He's always been like that.
Yeah.
But he's also somebody who has spent his life dedicated to believing in due process and having faith in it and dedicating his life to a career based on how due process works, like believing in due process.
Well, you got to think of it. What if your son or my daughter or husband, if they were somehow involved in a crime, you would want the process to be fair.
Right.
I would want the process for Betty, for JLR, to be fair.
And I would defend them. If I felt that something was being unfair, I would still be up here despite all of the videos and live streams I've done. Live streams, but all of the live streams I've done, despite all that,
Scott's calling me again.
Oh no. Yeah. You're good. Hooves on the Ground said, I met BHB before she got into the spotlight. It was at the Laundry's house. Seeing them in person, I could tell you that she is exactly as she is on YouTube. Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind about that. I can tell she can't fake who she is. She's incapable of faking who she is. That's what makes her so much fun to review. That's the difference between, like I could still make reviewing JLR fun because he's, it's just easy to make fun of. But Betty is 100 times easier to make fun of. Just extremely easy. Because she's so clueless and lacks so much self-awareness. JLR is aware of himself. He's aware of his deception. He's aware of the fact that he's full of shit and that he's and I mean he takes pride in being a troll. He's referred to himself as a troll, as he wants to be acknowledged publicly as like the ultimate troll. That's his whole thing. He's actually, I believe in my heart that he is actually looking to disrupt justice from taking place and get the recognition for it. That is what he wants. He wants the recognition for doing exactly what we're afraid and trying to avoid happening. That's what I personally believe. But BHB is too stupid to see this about him. And she simps for him because she actually is being trolled by him too. And she actually thinks that she's doing good. I call 100% bullshit. Oh yeah, I need to do better about checking private chat. I'll have to look. Okie Crime News. Thank you. Yeah, see, BHB is easy to make fun of because she's just completely clueless and she's an idiot. But she's harmful because she goes out to these locations and yells and screams through a bullhorn. But she's still a threat because people listen to her. And the only type of person that would listen to her and take to heart the things that she says would be an unstable fucking idiot. Period. Only an unstable, complete fucking utter moron would take heed to BHB's words. But I'm not going to stop making fun of her. I'm just not. It's too much fun. Because the idea behind making fun of her, for me, the idea behind making fun of her for me is okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Sorry, we're planning on him going to Memphis because his grandma's very sick. So
Gotcha. No problem. No, yeah, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We'll do this again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Bye.
I'm not going to stop talking about BHP simply because she's an idiot. And And again, the reason why I bring humor to it, it's honestly, I'm not even calculated when I'm bringing humor to it. She's just that stupid that it makes it fun to do. But the thing behind that is, you know, it also minimizes her credibility. It's just too obvious how stupid she is, and it makes her viewers and listeners just as stupid as she is, if not worse. I mean, if you take if you follow somebody that's stupid and like if you follow somebody as dumb as she is and think, man, she's doing great, like, man, you're just by definition that much more dumber than she is. It's just incredible that people even bother. So I am gonna wrap this up. I do really appreciate all you guys joining me. I know I don't think she can hear this right now, but I want to really thank Tracy Anne, aka Chasing, for joining me. I knew this conversation about the Letitia Stout trial would be fruitful, and I loved getting her feedback and discussing this with her. She is streaming this as well as I am. It's not a competition at all whatsoever. You know, if you want good insight, please watch her streaming that. I appreciate those who watch me as well. I to me, the more people that actually have decent insight and talking about something so serious and something so horrible, and have great insight to bring to the table, I'm always going to support. I'd be watching Chasing if I wasn't streaming it myself. So just so you know, which is why I wanted to have her on the channel, because I know that she is extremely emotionally invested in that trial, and I know how serious she takes it, and I know she's always cared about justice for Gannon. So it was a real pleasure to have her up here to be able to discuss it and talk with me about it. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. You guys are amazing. Again, I'm going to try to keep this going for Thursdays when they don't have court for Letitia. So I'm going to try to keep this going with a new guest. I don't know who I will approach next. But yeah, throughout this trial, I'm going to try to keep this a regular thing where we have a couple of hours to where we can talk and discuss the case and the trial and how it's going and the progress that it's making. And I can, you know, bounce opinions off with somebody who really genuinely cares about this case. So, guys, I love you guys very, very much. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for all your support. All the new subscribers, thank you so much. Thanks for hitting the like, all that stuff that comes with YouTube involvement and blah, 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 all that fun stuff. Thank you so much. I love you very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.